Dear friend, today we will discuss the eyelids. Eyelids or palpebrae. Palpebrae. Eyelids are the curtains which is present in front of the eye. These are the movable curtain and they also act as a wind screen which clean the cornea and the eyeball. Okay, it acts as a also wiper. Clear? Now, the two eyelids, the upper eyelid is more movable and the large, slightly large than that of the lower eyelid. And these eyelids prevent the injury to the eyeball and control the bright lights to enter in the eye. So, if you see here, this is the eyelid, upper eyelid and the lower eyelid. This is like this, here. So upper eyelid here and the lower eyelid. Now, these eyelids they have the margin. Both eyelids meet in the medial and the lateral side. When they meet medial side, they form the medial angle or the canthi. So this is the medial angle or canthi. While laterally, they meet to form the lateral angle or the canthi of the eye. Okay, here. And the margin of the, if you see, if you draw a diagram, suppose this is the orbit. Okay, here. And this is the cornea. Here, this is the pupil. Now, upper eyelid here, it passes and covers the cornea up to midway between the margin and the pupil here, like this. Like this. And the lower eyelid only passes the lower margin of the cornea. Like this. Here. And they are connected in the medial side here. So, upper eyelid just passes midway between the corneal margin and the pupil, and the here, and the lower eyelid passes just touching the. So, what's happened? Most of the white part or sclera is covered by the eyelids. Only it is seen by the side of the cornea here. So this is here, clear, and this is here. They meet in the lateral side and the medial side to form the angle. Okay, so this is the medial angle and the lateral angle. Clear? Now, each eyelid is divided into the two parts. Lateral 5/6 part. This is the lateral 5/6 part here. And the medial 1/6 part here. Lateral 5/6 part of the each eyelid has a outer border, the rounded, and the inner border, the sharp border. Suppose this is the corneal sagittal section, and like this. Okay, so this is the outer border, the rounded border, and the inner border is sharp border. Okay, like this. So outer border here. Okay, outer border, outer 5/6 part of this border, rounded border, is present the eyelashes here in one rows, like this. These are the eyelashes which is present at the outer border. Okay, here, outer 5/6 part. While the inner sharp border has the opening of the tarsal glands. Okay, these are the opening of the tarsal glands, which is present on the inner border, sharp border. Clear? So, on the both lid, upper eyelid and the lower eyelid. Clear? So in this fashion, the whole eyelid is divided. Now, upper eyelid, if you see here, the outer lip, which has the eyelashes here, and these eyelashes has the glands, the sweat glands and the sebaceous gland here. Each hair follicle has the sebaceous gland and the sweat gland. So these eyelashes have the sweat gland and sebaceous gland. So any infection occur, this infection pointed out here. So what's happened? Infection of this ciliary glands. These are known as the ciliary glands here. Ciliary glands. Okay. So if infection occurs in the ciliary glands, it is very painful. Pointing at the opening of the ciliary glands at the root of the hair follicle, and it is very painful. Okay, here. So this is the ciliary gland. This ciliary gland infection is known as stye or hordeolum. Infection of the tarsal glands are known as the chalazion. Okay, this is chronic infection and this is acute infection. Stye is acute infection, pain, while the chalazion is a chronic infection. Clear? So this is how the two eyelids are separated, and two eyelids are separated by the palpebral fissure. This is a palpebral fissure here. Okay, here. And this palpebral fissure here meet medially and laterally by the medial lateral angle of the eye. Yeah. So this is the general idea of the eyelids. Now, what's happened here in the medial 1/6? If you see the medial 1/6 has a rounded area. Okay, rounded border. Okay, not sharp border, the rounded border. And this medial 1/6 part is traversed by the canaliculi here, like this. Okay, these are the canaliculi. So medial 1/6 part is traversed by the canaliculi, and the junction of the lateral 5/6 and the medial 1/6 part is denoted or marked by the opening of the canaliculi. There is a canalicular here, the punctum. Okay, here the lacrimal punctum here. So this is like this. Okay, here we will draw diagram detail like here. So this is here. So lacrimal punctum opens at the junction of the outer lateral 5/6 and the medial 1/6 of the both eyelid, upper lid and the lower lid here. So this is, and this punctum is denoted by the papilla. Okay, here a rounded elevation, the inner side of the both lid, that is a papilla or the lacrimal papilla. Clear? So this is the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid. Clear? If you draw the diagram, look here. Suppose this is the this is the frontal bone, and this is the eyebrows. This is rounded part, and here is the ciliary gland. These are the tarsal glands. These are the tarsal glands. They are present in the form of the rows. Okay, like a beads of the string. This is, and they have the common tube here. Okay, here, and this is the tarsal plate. This. Okay. This is a tarsal plate here, dark color. Here. Okay. So if you see here, especially in the medial, in the eyelid, between the eyelid, on the medial side here, and toward the medial angle, there's a triangular area is in here. Okay. Here. This is the triangular area, and this triangular area known as the lacus lacrimalis. This triangular area. Okay, here. Lacus lacrimalis here. This, if I draw the diagram, the last diagram here. This is the actually conjunctival sac. Yeah, these are the lacrimal canaliculi. Here is the lacrimal sac. And it's a lacrimal ductum here. So this area here, this is here, here. Okay, the medial side of the eye, medial angle of the eye, this triangular area here. This triangular area known as the lacus lacrimalis. Okay, lacus lacrimalis. This is the lacus lacrimalis. And in the lacus lacrimalis here, there is a contain the reddish color, reddish conical bodies here on the medial side. It contains reddish conical body, which is known as the lacrimal caruncle here. Okay, this is the lacrimal caruncle. And this lacrimal caruncle is actually a detached part of the skin from the lower eyelid. Yeah, which is act as an eyelid, which is detached from the lower eyelid and shifted to other medial angle of the eye here. And it contains the sebaceous gland and the sweat glands and few hair. Okay, here on the medial side here. Then on the lateral to this caruncle, okay, here there is a small fold of the mucous membrane here. Small fold of the mucous membrane or semilunar fold of the, we can say, the conjunctival fold here. And this conjunctival fold is known as the nictitating membrane, or it is known as plica semilunaris. This fold is known as the plica semilunaris, which act as a nictitating membrane. Nictitating membrane. Okay, here. So this is fold of the conjunctiva on the lateral side of the lacus lacrimalis here, and lateral to the lacrimal caruncle here. So this is the fold of the conjunctiva. So this is the general feature. Now, what are the structure present in the eyelid from superficial to the deep? If you go here, superficial to the deep, if you go, there's the skin first. Okay. Second is the subcutaneous tissue. Subcutaneous tissue, and then deep is the fiber of the orbicularis oculi. Orbicularis ocularis oculi. Okay. Then fourth is the submuscular tissue. Or the deep to the orbicularis oculi, there is a small tissue is there, or the submuscular tissue, which is we will include here. And the fourth is the tarsal plate. Tarsal plate and tarsal glands. Okay. Then fifth is the conjunctiva. And below the tarsal plate here, the conjunctiva. Okay. So these are the 5 things we will see here. First you see the skin here. Skin is the skin of the lid, a loose, thin skin here, which is the here the hair follicle on the here the eyelashes here. In the eyebrows in this area. So skin is very thin, okay, and continuous at the lid margin. Okay, it is continuous with the lid margin with the conjunctiva. Okay, with the here the lid margin here inside here. Suppose this is the conjunctiva here. It continue with the conjunctiva. Okay, here. So this is the so skin is continued with the conjunctiva at the lid margin, clear, thin. Deep to the skin there is subcutaneous tissue here, the yellow color subcutaneous tissue. But this subcutaneous tissue is a loose irregular tissue. It do not contain the fat. Okay, that's why the swelling is easily occur here. Fluid is accumulated deep to the. So the loose irregular tissue we do not have the fat. Okay, and it is edematous, very edematous. Here. Then deep there is the orbicularis oculi muscle. Layer of the orbicularis oculi muscle. Okay, here is the orbicularis oculi muscle here. Okay, this is orbicularis, and this orbicularis oculi muscle here, it form the palpebral part. Okay, parallel to the palpebral fissure here. Okay, so it look here. Suppose this is the here. It passes here. Orbicularis oculi. This is a palpebral part of the. The orbicularis oculi have the orbital part. Okay, suppose this is the orbital part here. And this is the palpebral part. Clear? So this is the orbicularis oculi muscle in cross section here. Clear? Now, after this, and deep to the orbicularis oculi, there is a loose tissue here. Okay, loose irregular tissue again here, or the submuscular tissue here, and this submuscular tissue here continue with the submuscular subappendicic tissue of the scalp here. Clear? So it is continued. The subappendicic space of the space in the scalp appendicic space is there. So this space, this space here continue with the subappendicic space of the scalp. So in the subappendicic space, and when the swelling occurs in the subappendicic space, this swelling easily descends into this space here, and which gives rise to the bleeding. Sometimes the trauma occur, the bleeding occur, which we say the black eye occur here. Okay, black eye here. So this is the submuscular tissue here. Then after this, here there is a tarsal plate here, and this tarsal plate here, this is the tarsal plate. This tarsal plate is a fibrous tissue, a thick fibrous tissue here, mass of the tissue, which is situated at the lid margin here. Okay, this is the lid. This is the tarsal plate, especially here the black color. Okay, here. This is the tarsal plate here, which is situated at the lid margin. Okay, here. And this tarsal plate is almond shaped in the upper eyelid and the rod shape in the lower eyelid here. Okay, here. and both tarsal plates connected medially here on the medial side. They're connected here by the medial palpebral ligament. This is the medial palpebral ligament here. So this is the medial palpebral ligament. Okay, here. And the laterally here. Laterally again both tarsal plates fuse. Okay, here, fuse and to form the lateral palpebral ligament. This is the lateral palpebral ligament. Okay, here. And medial palpebral ligament, medially it is attached to the tubercle. One tubercle on this lacrimal bone here. This is the lacrimal bone. Okay, here. And this is the tubercle on the medial side here. So this tubercle. So medial palpebral ligament, it is the tubercle on the medial side, while the lateral ligament here attached to the Wittnall's tubercle. There is a zygomatic bone. On the zygomatic bone there is this one. This is the Wittnall's tubercle here. Okay, here. So on the lateral palpebral ligament, lateral side, it is attached to the Wittnall's tubercle. Clear? Here. Or tubercle on the zygomatic bone. Here. This is the Wittnall's tubercle. Okay, here at the lateral side here. So lateral palpebral ligament at a Wittnall tubercle, medial palpebral ligament attached at the tubercle on the lacrimal bone. Okay, here. So both in this fashion, both tarsal plates connected to each other on the medial side and the lateral side here. Now, this tarsal plate here on the anterior side, especially in the upper tarsal plate, here there is a attachment of the fiber of the levator palpebrae superioris here. These are the fiber of the levator palpebrae superioris. Here. They also attach on the upper eyelid. The few fiber attach also to the anterior surface of the tarsal plate here, upper tarsal plate. Clear? So here, and this is the orbital septum here. Okay, yeah. So what's happened now? Suppose here, this is the fiber of the levator palpebrae superioris, which comes from the inner side from the orbit, pierces this orbital septum, and then and majority of the fiber will go towards the upper eyelid. Okay, here, and the few fiber also attach on the anterior surface of the tarsal plate here, upper tarsal plate. Clear? So these are the fiber of the levator palpebrae superioris, which is attached here. Clear? And few fiber also attached to the apex of the tarsal plate and also on the fornix, the upper fornix. Clear? So this is how the tarsal plate. Now this tarsal plate here on the periphery, it is continue with the orbital septum here. So this is the orbital septum. Sorry, this is the levator palpebrae superioris muscle, and this is here. This is the orbital septum here. Orbital septum. This tarsal plate continue laterally with the orbital septum here, and it continue with the periosteum of the orbit here. Okay, it is continue. So orbital septum is nothing. It is a continuation of the osteum, the osteal layer or the periosteal layer of the orbit here. Inside periosteum, this periosteum continue to form the orbital septum, and this orbital septum at the margin of the eyelid here, it is thickened to form the tarsal plate here. Clear? So this is how this septum continues the tarsal plate, and since this septum I told you is pierced by the levator pulpy superioris along with the nerves and the blood vessel which come from the this eyeball from the orbit here. These are nerves which supply and pierce this orbital septum. So artery and the nerve. Okay, this is the artery and this is the nerve which pierce the orbital septum and then supply the skin and the muscle of this eyelid, upper eyelid. Clear? So this is how the tarsal plate is formed here. Now, in the tarsal plate, there the tarsal glands are there. Okay, here. So and also one thing is important here. This tarsal plate here is this levator pulpy superioris is attached to the tarsal plate here, and so contraction of the levator pulpy superioris elevate the upper eyelid first. Second, the margin of the both eyelid here. Suppose I am drawing here. Margin of the both eyelid have the muscle. Okay, here, which is under control of the sympathetic fiber here. Okay, these are known as the tarsal muscle, superior tarsal and the inferior tarsals. Okay, here they are the superior tarsal and inferior tarsal muscle are there, which is attached at the margin of the both eyelid here. So, and these muscles are under control of sympathetic fiber. So when this muscle contract, so it widens the palpebral fissure. Okay, it increases the width of the palpebral fissure. So this is the palpebral fissure here. Okay, so contraction of this muscle leads to the widening of the palpebral fissure. Okay, then come on the tarsal glands here. These tarsal glands are the modified sebaceous gland. Okay, which are present in the tarsal plate, substance of the tarsal plate here. This is the tarsal plate, which is here. In the substance of the tarsal plate, these are the tarsal glands here. And these tarsal glands present in a single row in the sharp border opening occur here. And these tarsal glands have the one common opening, one tube, straight tube, which have the side branches here. Okay, these are the secretory part here, which act as it looks like a pearl. Okay, string of the pearl here. Okay, here. So a dilated part here, and they open into the common tube. Okay, common opening. And this common opening open in the inner sharp lip of the upper eyelid. Clear here. So tarsal glands, majority it is mainly present in the upper eyelid. Clear? So this is the how and now the secretion of the tarsal glands are oily. Okay, it is oily here. Oily secretion come from the tarsal gland here, and this oily secretion prevents the evaporation of the tears. Okay, here evaporation of tears is prevented by the presence of the oily layer over the tears here. Clear? So this is the how the tarsal glands are formed in the tarsal plate. Then next layer is the conjunctiva. Okay, palpebral conjunctiva. This is the palpebral part of the conjunctiva which is present the deeper layer of this eyelid here, and this palpebral conjunctiva continue at the lid margin. Okay, lid margin with the skin. Clear? So this is about 2 millimeter from the lid margin. Okay, here this is about 2 millimeter from the lid margin. There is a one groove is formed here, and this groove here is most important site for lodgement of the foreign body here. So conjunctiva when start about 2 millimeter inside, it form a groove and then continue with the remaining of the palpebral conjunctiva. Clear? So this is how the conjunctiva is formed. Okay. Now what is the blood supply of the eyelid here? If you see the blood supply of the eyelid here is supplied by the lateral side here, lateral and the medial side. Medially here it is supplied by the palpebral branch of ophthalmic artery. Okay, while the lateral branches of the lacrimal artery, lateral half here, lateral half is supplied by the lacrimal artery. Okay, here. So lateral half is supplied by the palpebral branches of the lacrimal artery. Okay, while the medial side supplied by the medial. This is the palpebral branch of the ophthalmic artery. Suppose this is the ophthalmic branch and this is the lacrimal branch. They both branch anastomose at the lid margin and form a circle here. Okay, in the upper eyelid as well as the lower eyelid here, like this. Okay, the anastomose is supply the lateral half and the medial half of the eyelid, upper eyelid and lower eyelid, and they form an anastomose. So the circle is formed here, and through this circle the small branches start and supply the tissue. Clear? So in this way the artery supply, nerve supply. If you see the nerve supply of the both eyelid, the upper eyelid is supplied by the ophthalmic nerve. Okay, ophthalmic nerve is a supraorbital and supratrochlear branch of the ophthalmic nerve. Clear? Supply the upper eyelid, while the lower eyelid is supplied by the maxillary nerve, the infraorbital branch. Okay, so this is the supraorbital and supratrochlear branch, while here this is the infraorbital branch. Infraorbital and also infratrochlear from here. Infratrochlear here. Okay. While the lower eyelid is supplied by the infraorbital branch of the maxillary nerve. Okay. So upper eyelid supplied by the ophthalmic division of the trigeminal nerve, while the lower eyelid supplied by the maxillary division of the trigeminal nerve. So this is the nerve supply and lymphatic drainage. If you see the lymphatic drainage, half of the upper and lower eyelid, half of the medial and the medial side of the upper eyelid, lower eyelid, and drain into the submandibular gland. Okay, here in the submandibular gland. Okay, while the lateral half of the upper and lower eyelid drains into the preauricular lymph nodes. Okay, here. So these are the lateral here. Clear? So lateral half preauricular lymph node, medial half into the submandibular group of the lymph node. So this is here the eyelid. Now we will see the conjunctiva. What is the conjunctiva? Conjunctiva is a transparent membrane, okay, mucous membrane, which cover the inner surface of the eyelid, okay, and the eyeball, okay, up to the cornea, what I call corneoscleral junction here. So this is the conjunctiva, and this is a transparent membrane, okay, here. And this conjunctiva makes, when it turns, okay, from the palpebral part, okay, and to the ocular part here, when it makes a gap here, okay, here, and this known as the fornix here. So this is the fornix. When the palpebral conjunctiva continue with the ocular conjunctiva, this is the fornix. Okay, and between the palpebral part and the ocular part, one sac is formed here, and this is the conjunctival sac here. So this is, if you see, this is the conjunctival sac here. Here, this is the, suppose, cornea. Okay, here is a pupil here. So this is the ocular conjunctiva, and here, okay, suppose these are the lids, lower lid and the upper lid. Okay, so what's happened? This palpebral conjunctiva continue with the ocular conjunctiva, two form. This is known as the sac, the conjunctival sac here. And this is the fornix, okay? Or superior fornix and the inferior fornix is formed, okay? Here, in between the lower eyelid and the lower part of the, here the eyeball or the sclera. There is a opening of the lacrimal glands at the lateral part here, okay? Lateral part of the conjunctival sac here, just if you see the pink color, okay? This is the lacrimal gland, okay? And this lacrimal gland open the lacrimal ducts open into the superior fornix or the upper fornix at the lateral end of the conjunctival sac here, okay? Here. So these are the lacrimal duct, okay? So in the upper fornix here, there are the lacrimal duct opens here, and in spite of that, the accessory lacrimal glands are present, okay? Here, especially in the fornix here. Accessory small glands present here, here in the lacrimal superior this fornix as well as the inferior fornix here. Okay, accessory lacrimal. So when what's happened when the main glands is damaged, okay, or destroyed, so the eye cannot be dried up because they are the accessory lacrimal glands secrete the lacrimal fluid and which fills the lacrimal, this is conjunctival sac, and moisten the eyeball here. So this is how the lacrimal glands open here. Clear? Now, if you see the palpebral conjunctiva, we already discussed the palpebral conjunctiva start from the lid margin, inner margin, okay, here where the opening of the tarsal glands open, and start from the this palpebral conjunctiva 2 millimeter away inside. There is a groove is formed, then passes posterior to the eyelid or the deeper to the eyelid and attached to the here the tarsal plate here. It is attached to the tarsal plate, adhere to the tarsal plate, and then return towards the eyeball, okay, and reaches towards the sclerocorneal junction, okay. It covers the eyeball here or the sclera, so free movement occur between the conjunctiva or the ocular conjunctiva and the eyeball here, because this is very loosely not attached, it is a gap is formed, and this passes it reaches towards the sclerocorneal junction, and at the sclerocorneal junction this conjunctiva continue with the stratified squamous epithelium of the cornea, okay, here. So this is how the conjunctiva start and then passes towards the fornix, then reaches towards the ocular part here. So this is the palpebral conjunctiva, okay, here. Now this palpebral conjunctiva here at the lid margin, it is made up of the stratified squamous epithelium, okay, the lid margin here, okay. Then here, then reaches towards the fornix here, okay. In the fornix here, this form the the fornix it from the 3 layer, okay, here. While in between the fornix and the lid margin here, this made up of the 2 layer, okay, the columnar layer and the flat cell layer here. While here in the conjunctival in the fornix area, this conjunctiva made up of the 3 layer, columnar layer, flat layer, and the polygonal cell layer. Clear? So this is how the conjunctiva is formed, okay, the palpebral conjunctiva. While the ocular conjunctiva, I told you the ocular conjunctiva is a transparent and trilaminar, okay, trilaminar, 3 cell layer is formed, and it is very loose over the sclera, so it gives the free movements over the sclera and then reaches towards the sclerocorneal junction and continues the stratified squamous epithelium of the this cornea. Clear? So this is now whole of conjunctiva is lined by the mucus-rich goblet cells. Okay, mucus-rich cells. Mucus-rich goblet cells. Okay, which secrete the mucus fluid here, mucus secretion here. So if you see the fluid in the conjunctival sac here, in the conjunctival sac there are the 3 type of the fluids are there. Okay, 3 layer of the fluid is here. If you go from the inside outside, First layer is the fluid of the lacrimal gland. First fluid. Okay, first layer we can say. Second is the mucus, this goblet cell. Okay, mucus fluid. Third is the outermost is the oil-rich fluid from tarsal gland, which prevent the evaporation of the remaining of the two fluid here. So we can say that tears or the fluid which is present in the this conjunctival sac is made up of the three layer: lacrimal gland fluid, mucus fluid from the conjunctival glands, and the oil-rich fluid from the tarsal gland. So there are three type of the fluids here. And now blinking of the eye. Okay, when blinking of the eye occur, here the fluid passes in the lacrimal punctum here. I told you that at the junction of the lateral 5-6 and the medial 1-5-1-6 of the lid margin, there is a lacrimal punctum is there, and this lacrimal punctum gives us lacrimal canaliculus, and this lacrimal canaliculus here it goes and opens the nasolacrimal sac here. Clear? So this is the lacrimal punctum here. Okay, so lacrimal punctum passes through the lacrimal canaliculus and into the nasolacrimal sac, then the nasolacrimal duct. So fluid freely passes through this punctum, then the canaliculi, enters into the sac here. Clear? So and enters the nasal cavity. Now if you see the nerve supply of the conjunctiva, nerve supply of the conjunctiva is whole of the ocular conjunctiva and the upper palpebral conjunctiva. Okay, here is supplied by the ophthalmic nerve. Okay, ophthalmic nerve. Okay, here whole of the ocular conjunctiva and while the inferior palpebral conjunctiva is supplied by the maxillary nerve. There is infrapalpebral nerve comes from the maxillary division, okay, and supply this conjunctiva of the lower eyelid. Okay, now the blood supply. If you see the blood supply is very important. Blood supply of the conjunctiva, the palpebral conjunctiva. Okay, here. Suppose this is the palpebral conjunctiva of the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid. Okay, so conjunctiva, the upper eyelid, okay, here supplied by the marginal palpebral arcade. Okay, marginal palpebral arcade means this is a lacrimal artery supply the upper eyelid and the ophthalmic artery, okay, supply, and they form the anastomosis. Okay, here, and same thing in the lower eyelid here. They also passes through the lower eyelid and from the arcade here. Okay, so this arcade supply the conjunctiva, the palpebral conjunctiva. Okay, here. So marginal palpebral arcade. This is known as the marginal palpebral arcade. Okay, so this supply the palpebral conjunctiva. Okay, here. What about the ocular conjunctiva? It's very important. Ocular conjunctiva is supplied by the two type of the artery. There is a posterior conjunctival arteries. One is the posterior conjunctival artery. And the anterior conjunctival arteries. Conjunctival artery. What about the posterior conjunctival artery? Posterior conjunctival arteries, they arises from this marginal palpebral arcade. Okay, here this peripheral palpebral arcade of the marginal palpebral arteries give rise to the branches towards the posterior part of the superior and the inferior part of the ocular conjunctiva here. Okay, so supply this only upper part here. We can say the fornical area, fornical part of the conjunctiva here. While the middle part, anterior part of the conjunctiva is supplied by the anterior conjunctival arteries. Okay, and the anterior conjunctival arteries, they derive from the anterior ciliary arteries. Okay, they derive from the anterior ciliary arteries. And anterior ciliary arteries, what's happened? These anterior ciliary arteries, they come from the muscular branches of the ophthalmic artery, and they form a circle around the iris. Okay, first this passes for the ciliary muscle, and from the ciliary muscle they form a circle. Okay, here around the iris here, and around the iris then they supply the conjunctiva. So they form the large arterial circle around this iris, or we can say the major arterial circle. Okay, clear? So this is, so how this now? So anterior part of the conjunctiva supplied by the anterior conjunctival arteries, and which are come from the anterior ciliary arteries, and these anterior ciliary arteries actually come from the muscular branches of the ophthalmic artery. Ophthalmic artery supply the extraocular muscle, and from the extraocular muscle, when the branches supply, suppose these are the arteries, muscular branches. Okay, yes, suppose this is the muscle. Okay, here is muscle. So when they supply the muscle, they give rise to the branches. Okay, like this. Anterior conjunctival arteries, and this anterior conjunctival artery passes around the iris and form a circle, the great arterial circle, and from the great arterial circle the branches come and supply the conjunctiva, the anterior part of the conjunctiva. So what's happened now, if suppose conjunctivitis occur when the posterior arteries, posterior conjunctival arteries are dilated. Okay, here. So there is a redness occur in the conjunctiva. So this is known as the conjunctivitis here. Right? Okay. So in conjunctivitis, posterior conjunctival arteries are dilated here. Okay, in the conjunctivitis. Okay, while when the deep vessel or the anterior vessels are dilated here, it gives rise to the pink color of the eye. Okay, here. While it is redness occur on the conjunctivitis, while here the ciliary or the anterior ciliary arteries are dilated, so due to any infection in the ciliary muscle or the iris, so what's happened, the pink color is given here. Okay, so this great arterial circle, and that's why, and conjunctiva also look like pink in color. Okay, so this is the, or you can say rose pink band occur. Okay, rose pink band is seen in the infection of the ciliary muscle or the iris muscle, so dilatation of the arteries around the iris circle or the ciliary muscle, which is a great arterial circle here, and which give rise to the rose pink like color to the conjunctiva. Okay, so this is all about the eyelid and conjunctiva, and I told you the clinical application. There is a stye occur first, infection of the ciliary glands occur, or the sebaceous or the sweat glands of the hair follicle occur. This is a hordeolum, also known as the hordeolum. While chalazion occur, chalazion means infection of the tarsal glands occur, the chronic infection. Stye infection in the the ciliary glands, known as the stye, is very, very painful. Okay, because the pus is collected around the hair follicle, and this hair follicle burst and gives rise to the pain. While the chalazion is a chronic infection occur in the tarsal glands, which is not painful but swelling occur here. Okay, and the third is the conjunctivitis here. Conjunctivitis occur, conjunctivitis infection in the peripheral part of the conjunctiva here occur, and also infection of the this ciliary muscle or the iris muscle if there. So this gives rise to the pink color, which are dilatation occur in the great arterial circle. So these are the certain clinical aspect of this eyelid and conjunctiva. So this is all about the conjunctiva and the eyelid.